This young man is a convicted burglar. He's about to be confronted by one of his victims.
I'm sorry for what I've done. That's hard for me to say really, but I am sorry for what I've done. But there were a lot of reasons behind why I done things I done. I didn't just decide to go out and burgle. It was something that, for me, it was the best way I could, really, getting any money that I needed. For whatever various reasons I needed money for.
Well, can I jump in here and ask you? Right. You're saying that it was the best way you could get money, but take me, mate. Now, when you done me, I was working for British Rail, I was working shifts. Now I was working for 150 quid a week. That CD player you took with the speakers, 300 quid's worth of gear, that was given to me by my brother. I wasn't insured. I can't replace that. What should you flog it for, about 50 quid? Something like that, something totally stupid. I can never afford to replace that. So you're sitting there telling me you're sorry. Why don't you just get your ass out and get a job and get money that way instead of picking on us? I mean, what gives you the right to walk into anybody's house and go through it, and I come home, some piece of shit's just robbed my house? I went around and beat two guys up, two thieves that live on our estate. I beat them up thinking it was them. This is too good for you. Too good for you. When I was in the army, we caught somebody thieving, you'd broke your fingers. You wouldn't have been doing it again. You wouldn't. This is too soft. This is luxury. If I'd have got you coming out of that house, you've been dead, mate. I swear to God, I'd have fucking killed you. I just think you're a lowlife. I don't think this is changing you.
This victim has been able to confront his actual burglar through a pioneering project, the Leeds Mediation and Reparation Service, funded by West Yorkshire Probation. Mediation offers contact between victim and offender, either indirectly through a go-between or a letter, or even, if both sides are willing, through a face-to-face meeting. The service deals with a lot of burglary and car theft, but also with more serious crimes, like assault or grievous bodily harm.
I got into Leeds about 11 o'clock. So I was making my way from the train station to where I catch my bus. It's dark, so I was aware there's possibly people about who could cause harm, so I wasn't looking anyone in the eye, minding my own business, walking quietly on my own to a bus stop. And suddenly I noticed there was a man and he stopped. He just says, "You're starting." I mean, this completely unexpected. Just didn't know what to say. So I stepped aside. But this time he stepped aside again, started nudging me with his chest, saying, "You're starting again." Still, it happens in a matter of seconds. Still didn't know what to say, so I took another step to the side. And as I was doing that, I felt a sharp pain in the side. So I still wasn't sure what was happening. So he just walked off, didn't say anything. By this time I was a bit confused, a bit dazed, wasn't sure. It was over in a flash. So I just went into the bus stop, and then a bit gory, but I felt a trickling down my side. Just realised there was something up, so I took my coat off and had a look. The whole side of my t-shirt was red. I never saw the knife, I never saw how it happened. The unfortunate thing is, I make the very same journey from the train station to the bus stop every day. And for 3 or 4 months, I think about it every time. That's the place I was stabbed. You almost become paranoid. If someone walks towards you, you're filled with an almost overwhelming fear and you have to go into a shop or something. You begin to think almost everybody who walks towards you is potentially going to attack you. It's a whole emotional side. It's far greater than the original attack. And there's questions that need to be answered. We could spend years wondering, what was he like? And why did he do it? Because at the moment he's just a stranger. I don't know what he's like, the person. He's the attacker, some sort of machine almost. But I don't know about the emotions that drove him to do it, or what he's thought about afterwards.
Nathan's questions would never normally be answered. In the criminal justice system, there is no provision for contact between victim and offender. So victims often feel powerless and unable to put the experience behind them. And offenders don't have to face up to the effects of what they have done. They can run away from it, make light of it. Mediation gives victims a chance to speak their minds, and offenders a chance to try to put things right, and perhaps to change.
I'm off to work now. Bye.
Margaret Lawrenson is mediating between Nathan and his attacker, Kevin.
See you in the morning. You go to bed soon. Bye.
Come in.
Having pleaded guilty to GBH without intent for stabbing 2 people, Kevin is now out on probation. While still in prison, he agreed to meet Margaret and maybe Nathan. His friend Danny was with him on the night of the attack.
Now then, I've come to talk to you today really about the person whom you attacked, not the one in McDonald's, because he wasn't interested in mediation, but the other one that was in the street.
Well, I have really no memory of it, really. But I'll tell you what happened leading up to what I can remember. I actually went Christmas shopping and ended up getting pulled into pubs and getting legless. Then we went into Big Lil's. And there was a special offer thing on for this strong sort of cider thing. So we drank quite a few of those bottles, and then that's all I can remember going into Big Lil's. I can't remember coming out of Big Lil's.
Were you surprised to hear that there'd been a knife involved?
Very surprised. But then again, we were all drunk. Not as bad as Kevin, like you were. You know, hysterical.
But was it quite normal for you to get aggressive in?
Well, I've been told, yeah. Well, in fact, I know myself that I do get aggressive when I've had a drink.
Okay, so you think you might be prepared to contemplate a face-to-face if it would be helpful to him?
Definitely.
I don't actually fear him, but meeting him again. I mean, when the court case came up, I didn't actually see him, and I almost wanted just to look at him. But walking into a room with him there, you're just not sure how you're going to act, how you're going to feel, what you're going to say, what he's going to say. I think it'd be a really awkward situation to be in.
Well, he'd remember everything about those moments that surrounded the incident. So he says, yes, he would recognise you if he were to meet you. So it's not about, as it is for some people, putting a face to the person who's done something to them. But as I say, he doesn't know whether he wants to do it.
Oh, well, do you know why I don't want to do it?
Sorry?
Do you know the reason why I don't want to do it?
He's not sure whether he would get anything out of it, whether the bonuses would be worth the stress of the situation. I think that's probably putting it right.
I think it'd be quite safe to meet me. 'Cause I'm not really maniac, am I?
Sounds as though you're saying you might feel quite vulnerable.
Not in a physical sense.
No.
As one launching himself at me, but I guess it's just nerves about meeting him.
Yeah.
A bit nervous.
It is.
The whole situation. It can't be easy.
It isn't easy. I think what he would get out of the meeting is some greater understanding of you as a person. And I think the more he understands about the offence and what it's all been about and the consequences of it, that'll be something for him to hang on to in the future when those temptations come his way again. And I think anything that can help him resist those temptations has got to be useful. But nevertheless, I don't think you should do it for him.
Just do it now. Rather than just get it over and done with, I think, before
Right.
next week.
I'd got something like that to calm me down beforehand.
Good for the nerves.
Yep, well, it's not my advice.
Outside Cardigan Community Centre in Leeds, the neutral ground on which Kevin and Nathan have agreed to meet. Nathan will be coming with the second mediator, Stuart Pawson.
It's just up the stairs, I think.
I'm really nervous. It's going to be really shameful, isn't it? Meeting him. It's a dreadful thing that I did to him, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you feel you want to get him in here now so that you can get the whole thing underway?
Probably, yeah. Probably best just dive straight in.
Right. Nathan, would you like to sit there?
Yes.
And Stuart, if you can pop up to the end there. Thanks very much indeed, everybody, for coming this morning. And I hope you both feel that you've achieved something by the time the morning's over. Nathan, you're the one, I think, who said, let's go for it, let's have this meeting. So I wonder if you'd like to maybe start us off.
Just start with a question. It's just, in the evening, you decided to take a knife out with you. And I don't know if this is the first time. I just want to ask, why was it in your pocket?
I was actually carried it with me to feel a bit, because I was scared. Because, like, where I live, there's some boys that have been knocking at my door, threatening me. I didn't have it on me to go out to stab somebody that night. I felt safe walking out my door with it.
I mean, how did you feel when the policeman comes into you and says...
I was shocked to me, really.
Yeah, I can't... I don't know how it feels. I mean, it must have been like a bombshell. You have absolutely no recollection at all?
No. No. I've seen you now. It's like the first time I can remember seeing you, really.
I can say you look utterly different to how I remember you. It was over in seconds. I mean, I remember it as a sequence of flashes now.
You actually remember it every time you go to that spot?
That night, it's like it's never ended, almost. I can remember such trivial little details. It really is immensely vivid.
For me, it's... I've lost a lot. Well, it's my own fault, but I've lost a lot of friends over it. A lot of family. And... you know, it's total reputation. Everywhere where I live, people just... with their evil looks and that. And I wish I could reverse what happened. I wish I could go back in time. But I can't.
When I was stabbed with a knife, physical injury was fairly minuscule, really. Just a flesh wound. But it was like an emotional dagger almost. And that stuck in a lot deeper and it's stuck in my side a lot longer. And that's the hardest part.
If it's any help, I'd just like you to know really that I'm totally ashamed of myself for what I've done. And that it wasn't nothing at all personal. Or I didn't intentionally go out to stab you or like that. Will you accept that it was nothing personal?
I never actually thought it was.
And
I mean, I just felt I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It would have been something different if I wasn't there, perhaps.
You say you don't remember it, Kevin, but what do you think was at the back of it? You know, why? Have you any idea why you did do it?
It's all a total blank. Like...
Do you drink with the intention of getting into that state? You go out and think, I'm going to get blacked out tonight.
Well, I actually don't drink no more, but when I did drink, it's sort of like I'm quite a shy person, really.
Yeah.
Like drinking, it made me more open and, you know, be able to sort of like talk more and enjoy myself better. But after a few drinks, I'd get carried away. Sort of can't explain it really.
don't want anything like that ever to happen again. It should have never happened.
I think on that respect, I feel the same. If there was something, wave a magic wand that never happened.
I wish I could help you in that way, Nathan. Probably apologising, I know that no way is it enough, but I don't know, really. It's all very hard for me, really. Just say things.
Yeah, I can almost appreciate somehow how you feel. I was coming here today. Literally did not know what to expect.
Neither did I, really.
I can go away and think differently about you now. Because before, you were just like some machine. Walked up to me, stabbed me, walked off. Don't know why you did it. The police, when they said you didn't remember, they said it was a cover and they were going to try and get it out of your friends. Because I was annoyed at the fact that there was a charge of GBH without intent. Because I always thought you intended to do it, you clearly stepped over towards. So you not remembering was an appropriate defence. Well, that's changed now. I can honestly say that you don't remember it.
Thank you.
And it's almost like I'm trying to put it away by being here today.
Well, that's what we hope.
You're a human being now, rather than just a machine.
Kevin's crime came out of the blue, an aggression unleashed by alcohol. He still isn't really able to explain it. Some crime is less dramatic but more habitual, a way of life. Margaret's next meeting is with Alan, aged 29, who's been burgling since he was 9. He now lives with his girlfriend Amanda and their baby and says he is determined to stop burgling. Alan heard about mediation through his probation officer and thought he'd like to do it. For him, it seems like putting down a marker of the seriousness of his intent to stop.
It was a mistake, the last burglaries that I did, because I'd said that with Amanda being pregnant once we got this house, I said that I was going to pack it in. And when we got there, because the house was so bare, I thought, just one last time, and made a mistake because I got caught. So I ended up missing birth, and she had to do all the pregnancy on her own and what have you, plus having to decorate and furnish the house while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
So I felt a bit of I felt a lot of a failure to her.
Yeah.
So after that I started looking towards probation to help me, ready for when I get out. I wasn't really expecting to get out this early, but I'm glad I did anyway. I'm glad that they gave me a chance to do something.
One of Alan's victims was Donna, who lives alone with her little boy. She spends her days assembling videos and hi-fi equipment. Ironically, the kind of thing Alan stole from her house. Margaret calls round to Donna's after work to tell her that she has seen Alan.
Yeah, one of the things he said was, I would like to apologise to their faces if they're willing. Now, what do you feel about that? What do you think about the possibility of meeting him?
I'll die. I don't know what to say.
In what way?
Don't tell me he's outside.
No, not promise. No, absolutely wouldn't do anything without a lot of preparation and thought. But, he said that he would actually quite like to make his apology to you and answer any questions you might have. So...
I don't know. They've put questions to me, I don't know. Yeah, he could do, yeah. I've always been frightened of him coming back, though. I've always had that feeling like I'd like to be reassured by him that he'd never do it again.
She feels if she sees you and if she talks to you about the way you think that this particular offence has made her feel, she'll be able to judge for herself whether she's able to believe what you say or not. and that will make a difference to her. If she can accept that you're telling her the truth, then that will make her feel a lot more comfortable.
Well, if she wants to meet me, then fair enough. And if there's out I can say that's going to make her feel better.
What does your mum think?
Oh, my mum's nervous. She's at home with my son like that. Don't be soft with him, don't be letting him walk all over you and telling him he's sorry and believing him, and says, oh, you've got to give him a chance, I need to say what he's to say. So, that's it really.
So your mum's...
Let's get it over and done with now.
You ready then?
Yep.
I can't remember exactly about your house, but I think, I'm not sure, but I think I just went in the bedroom and looked to see if there were a jewellery box, do you know, on the side.
So did you go in every room then? What did you do? Did you just come straight through Kayle's bedroom, into my bedroom, and then downstairs, or...?
Well, because it looked as if whoever lived there were out for the night, do you know, rather than they'd gone away on holiday or whatever. Time were like pressing, you know, and they could have come back any minute, so I had to just
so how long did it take you then?
shoot round.
Rough guess.
Not long.
Don't you feel crap on that then for what you've done? Genuinely though. And on your heart, do you feel?
Yeah, I do. Before I met Amanda, I'd not really, this sounds a bit naff, I'd not really had an home. I just used to sleep and stay at people's houses. And, but now that I've got an home, and a child and all the rest of the stuff, it's like taking on more meaning now. It's been a shitty life anyway, you know, doing that, living like that since I've been a kid. I don't really want my daughter growing up thinking that it's some great, exciting life that her dad's been leading, do you know what I mean? Because that's sort of how it happened to me. My stepdad had been in prison and he was like a crook. And he used to tell me all these exciting stories, do you know, about being chased by the law and all that sort of stuff.
So you were 9 years old when you started?
Well, that had an impression on me, and it made me start thinking like Robin Hood and all that. Do you know, when you're a kid?
I mean, I pity you, really. People think I'm mad for saying it, but I always think, well, they must have a problem to do it. And then you can get used to doing it, so it's way of life, isn't it? And they just keep doing it. And... Sorry, we were going to say something.
Well, from when I was 9 until I was 15, when I got my first custodial sentence, I was that into it back then that I just didn't think about what else.
Have you been in jail a few times then?
I've spent about 11 years in the last 20.
So it can't have bothered you then going to jail, can it, for you to do it again?
Just, like, when I was 10, I got a care order. So I was taken away from home anyway. I was in institutions, you know, children's homes, and then like approved school until I was 15. Then I got a detention centre, and then Boston just progressed. And it was like, I was that used to being in institutions, you know, where everything's done for you. You don't have to think, you just tell what to do and what to wear and what to eat. And it just got that used to it that getting out started to become harder and harder to cope with. Do you know, like, when you get out, you're faced with all bills and problems, and you've got to buy your own clothes, and there's not someone structuring your life for you. It was just...
So do you feel better now you've got somebody then?
Oh, yeah.
Does she help you?
Yeah, what?
So we all have to manage, don't we? I've had to struggle. So you really can reassure me, then you're going to try and change then. And that's why I come here, really.
Definitely.
Of course, mediation cannot always bring such understanding and reconciliation. That depends on the individuals and on the crime. And some crimes are much harder to forgive. As well as mediation, the Leeds team do lifer inquiry work, visiting the victims or surviving relatives in cases where prisoners are serving life sentences. People like Tom and Mary Clapham, whose 17-year-old son Philip was murdered years ago by two Hell's Angels he knew.
We felt a bit let down by the system because at the trial we weren't asked any questions at all, we were just spare parts. And when it was all over, it was a sort of a total relief.
It was a terrible case, awful. We sat in court and listened to everything about how they killed him and how they had to clean up the mess and everything afterwards. And the youngest one had battered his head in 9 times with a hammer. And the other one had hit him with a crowbar. And then they buried him. And a year after they buried him, they dug him up again. But can you imagine going and digging someone up after a year? They're not nice people. There's just no excuse for it.
Rob Unwin from the Mediation Service has taken this case on.
I've listened to the relatives of the victim's story, and I know, or I can sense, something of the suffering that they've been through, which is tremendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And yet I've also been to see the offender, and I've also got a glimpse of some of the reasons why he did it and some of the fear and the terror that's going through his mind at the time. And my worries are that they're going to see me as trying to defend the offender, somehow justify what he did, which is not what I'm about at all. I'm just about trying to pass on information. So I feel I'm in a tricky position.
Rob is making his second visit to the Claphams. Their son was one of 3 victims of that same pair of killers. One of them, just 16 at the time, has spent 13 years in jail. This lifer inquiry work was pioneered in Leeds. It involves keeping relatives informed of release plans and finding out if they have any concerns they would like to have put to the Home Office. Very rarely, a relative might want information from a killer or even request a meeting.
I would much prefer it if this offender had been willing to meet face-to-face with the relatives of the victim. He's not prepared to do that, but the opportunity is there for them to get some answers. And then if they want to, which I'm not sure they will, but if they want to, I can then take some of their questions back to the offender. Right. Thank you very much for agreeing to see me again. Just a little bit of background. From when I visited you last year, I took your report and I passed it on to my office, and that was sent to the probation officer dealing with this case, and then that was passed on to the Home Office, and it was heard and it was put before the Lifer Review Board, and it was considered and it was heard, but the decision that they've come to is that this particular offender should be released.
It's disgusting.
And in fact, he has now been released. He has actually been released.
Oh, God.
That's 4 years for every life.
Yeah, there were 3 lives gone there that he's helped to wipe out. It's diabolical. The dead lads can't come back, can they? Like I said earlier, we've to carry on with our sentence. It's disgusting. I just can't find words bad enough to say.
There are certain conditions attached to his release, and he will continue to be on life licence for the rest of his life, and if there are any concerns about his behaviour, then the probation officer's got the power to request that he's recalled to prison. So he has got that hanging over him.
It doesn't help the lads that have killed, does it? You know, I mean, we were saying earlier, you know, I mean, I remember Philip as a little lad. He had problems with his teeth and they were protruding a little bit because he used to suck his thumb. And he had an awful lot of orthodontic work to do. And that poor kid, he suffered like hell doing that. They knocked him all out. It's horrible when you think about it and they can walk free.
It makes you want to do something about it, and you can't.
I mean, our hands are tied, we can't do anything. But it's all wrong. I believe in a life for a life.
You see, when you came and asked our opinion about it, we both said afterwards that it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference. Because it never does. It just seems to me a formality. I thought he'd have served 25 years at least.
I have actually been to see this individual. Now, I did that on the request of the widow of one of his victims. She asked me to actually go and see him. Firstly, to find out if he would be willing to meet her face to face so she could directly ask him some questions.
She's a brave woman.
He said he wasn't willing to meet the widow. But he felt he was willing to see me. And he did actually say he felt it had taken him 18 years to speak to anyone about why he did it. And he said that I could pass that information on to the widow. And that if you were interested, I could also pass it on to you.
Well, I'm interested, but at the same time, if there's a reason, why didn't it come out in court? Right. Why didn't he tell the police that there was a reason for it? There was nothing.
There's one other thing I can offer potentially, and that is I may be able to get back in contact with him again through his probation officer. And if there are any questions you want to put to him,
I don't want anything to do with him at all.
I understand that, of course.
If they'd have needed somebody to hang him, I'd have hung him.
Even less obviously painful crimes, like burglary, can still stir very strong feelings. For some, mediation can be a way of venting those feelings. The stereotype of the tough offender and the meek victim doesn't always fit.
Hello, I'm Andrew Tier from the Mediation Service in Leeds. That's part of probation. Here's my ID. Fine. And I've come to see Lee Jeffrey Williams.
Fine, we'll let you through.
Thanks a lot.
The court is an adversarial process whereby the Crown is prosecuting the offender. Often the victims aren't even there, they're not even called if they're not needed to be a witness. And the offender, therefore, is just dealing with the judge or the magistrate, and he makes no apology. He doesn't need to. If in mediation the offender has to confront what he's done, and he's more likely to change, I think. I don't think he's very likely to change because of the prison sentence. It probably hardens him, and there's a lot of bravado when he gets there about what he's done.
Your mates here, do they know you're thinking of doing this?
A few of them don't know.
And what do they think about it?
A few of them think I'm mad.
Right. Why do they think you're mad?
To them it's something good they've done. They've done 13, 14 burglaries.
Right. Right.
And it's something to brag about. And I think a lot of them, if they want in here, if they were like on probation or whatever, and they were given a chance to do it, I think a lot of them would do it. It's just a lot of pressure in here, you know. If everybody's a big hard man image, they're not bothered and they don't want to know the victims or what have you.
This meeting, would you be nervous about that?
Yeah.
Why would you be nervous?
It's not something really that it's not easy to do once you burgle somebody's house. It's not easy to just hide. So
right.
It's going to be a bit nerve-wracking, yeah.
Right.
As Lee nears the end of his 15-month sentence for a series of 13 burglaries, Andrew is working his way down a list of Lee's victims. He calls on long-distance lorry driver William Shanks.
You know, when I came to see you last time, I told you I'd be going to see Lee.
That's right, yeah.
And you had agreed to meet him.
Yeah.
I've talked to him about it, and he's agreed to meet you as well.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
It might be in this guy's interest to have this meeting to make it look as if he's genuinely sorry. It would go better for his parole, you know what I mean?
I think, yes, I think he's thinking he will be coming out in a couple of months anyway.
Right.
Yes, clearly, if he's behaving, it's not going to do him any harm. No,
Right.
you're quite right. But it's not going to affect his sentence. He's been sentenced 3 months about, and he was on remand. So yes, feel free to rip into him verbally as is appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, I'll make sure there's no.
Make sure there's no fisticuffs.
I certainly will.
Right.
That's my job as well.
No problem.
Andrew calls on another victim of burglar, Lee Williams.
Hello, you Michelle Jones. Yeah, I'm Andrew Tier from the Mediation Service, and I wanted to talk to you about the crime when you had your house burgled some months ago. Right. Is it all right if I come in then?
Yes, come in.
Thanks.
Come in. Come on, Victoria.
I mean, what do you feel about him? What were your...
Well, if I could get my hands on him, I'd probably kill him.
Right, you feel angry about
Yes,
what?
I do, because
Right.
I take a lot of pride in my home,
Right.
as you can see, but
Yeah.
he come in and he just threw everything all over.
Right, wasn't respectful of...
No, he wasn't,
Yes.
and his muddy footprints were all over the carpet. And
Right.
that affected me more, actually, than him taking
Yes.
things, you know.
Yes.
But,
What, because you felt it wasn't clean?
oh, God,
Yes.
no, it felt terrible.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
you cleaned it, but it's still, his prints are sort of...
Yes,
still
the
feel
carpet's
as
been
if-
cleaned twice since.
Right.
I just, I just can't keep it clean.
Right,
'Cause,
right.
you know, and before actually we got burgled, I felt very settled here.
Right.
I don't anymore.
Right.
I want to move.
I mean, my job is to try and confront the offender with the views of the victims. He's apologised and he wants to sort of wipe the slate clean. But I want him to know all that you and the other victims have felt. And maybe being confronted with some of your views might be a good start for this young man. Often what I do is to get the victim and the offender to meet with another mediator to make it possible that you can confront him directly as well. Hello, Hilary. Hello,
Hiya.
Michelle.
Hello.
This is William. This is Hilary, the other mediator.
Hello,
who's
William.
going to be,
Hiya.
and this is
Michelle.
Michelle, the other victim.
Hello.
And you all know me, don't you?
We do, yeah.
Are either of you a bit nervous about meeting him? You know,
Yes.
how
It's
you-
just the initial
how they-
meeting.
Right, when you see him face to face.
I just want to meet him and tell him what I think of him. I hope he don't expect sympathy off me, because he ain't going to get it.
No.
He never will do. Why screw a house? It doesn't matter if you've got money or if you've got no money. Why invade somebody's personal property?
Right.
I mean, I'm no soft guy, but I'm lying in bed shit myself thinking some maniac's running around screwing my house with a knife or something, you know. Get any idea what that feels like? And the annoyance and the inconvenience.
Do you know what it feels like to have your property invaded? Have you been in that situation?
I've had it where my cars have been stolen, but not to the extent where my house has been burgled. That's never happened to me, but...
Right.
And I can understand how you feel, obviously. Which I know it's probably it sounds like I'm saying it, but I can. But I was burgling houses for maybe 2.5 months, I think, at most. And that was just the easiest way that I had of getting money. It was just the easiest way possible that I could think of.
Right.
Because it is very, very easy.
Why didn't you just go out and work for your money, like, you know what I mean?
Haven't you got any self-value? Don't you want to actually go out and work for the car that you've got? Instead of saying, well, you know, I've robbed umpteen houses for this car. You know, can't you think that you've gone out and worked a 40-hour week to buy this car?
Until I started with drugs, I did, because that's what I was doing. I was working. I worked for 18 months.
So you feed your drug habit sort of thing?
That was one of the main reasons that I was doing it.
I mean, my background, for what I've heard, is pretty much the same as yours. I mean, my family split up when I was 11. My dad was a long-distance lorry driver, he was away from home. I was roaming the streets, but I never turned to burglary. I just can't understand how you can go in and take somebody's property, like invade somebody's property. I just can't understand it. I mean, I think thieving is the lowest form of life.
When I was doing houses, I wasn't thinking of it as a person. To me, when I was doing it, it was just, I was doing an house. I didn't know the person who owned the house. It was just there, and I was taking whatever. It was just a house that I was burgling. There were no.
But these are the faces who lived in those houses. I mean, does that change your sort of perspective on it a little bit?
Well, it doesn't. It had done first time you come to see me. When you were saying like Michelle had a carpet cleaned, God knows how many times, and it was a new one. I don't know.
It was one that she. Do you want to say, Michelle, what happened about that? That you, after the burglary.
Yeah.
Or do you want to say how it felt when it happened?
The thing is, I mean, when somebody comes into your property, you don't know what they're like, you don't know who they are, and you feel dirty.
It's okay, Michelle. It's all right. It really is very upsetting, I think.
You've no idea.
I think it was anger more for me than upset. I mean, I know it's got to you that way, but I think with me it went the other way. I just wanted to lash out and get all them.
Yeah.
And that's what it got to me.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really turn around and tell me that once they let you out of these doors, you get back. You're going to get back with your old mates, aren't you? Come on, we all do it. I mean, I knock around with a crowd. You knock around with a crowd. You're going to get back to the same crowd, and the same thing's going to happen again. You're going to need money. What's the easy option? Back screwing again. I don't think this is changing.
Right.
What made you first decide then that, you should go and burgle someone's house?
It's the big question, isn't it? Why that you two want to know?
Yeah.
It's gradually escalated from being like 16 really. When I left home at 15. And from there I don't know.
There's got to be a time in your life where you think, oh, is this it? Do I want to be locked up here for the rest of my life? Because that's the way you're going, isn't it? You're just going to be banged up. Get yourself sorted out.
But it's not that easy for me just to, go out and say, right, I'm doing this. I'm going to get a job and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Because
Why isn't it so easy for you?
Well, you know yourself, it's not easy to get jobs. I mean, fair enough, I could go straight back on a training scheme, I could do that the day I got out.
So,
but then
why don't you start at the bottom? Why don't you go to college or something and do something constructive with your time?
Because then I'd be back at square one again. I'd be on a silly low income
But we all have to start at square one. None of us have come out of school into full-time employment earning £350 a week. We all have to start at the bottom. You're not getting punished for anything. Every one of us have to go through that. And it's down to you.
When I get out, I'm going to be. If I were to do that, if I were to go back on a training scheme, I mean now I'm nearly 20. I'd be on maybe £79, £80 a week, well, a fortnight, sorry. And from what I've done last time, when I could have been living on £200, £300 a week, going back down to £70, £80 a fortnight.
But it's an honest living. You can cope with that. You can go to bed and think, well, I haven't gone and hurt anybody today. I haven't burgled anybody. What I've got now is mine. You just took everything of our house. Not only did you take some valuables, but you destroyed my life. So I didn't feel settled in the house. I couldn't stop cleaning. And you don't know how hard that is. I would go into bed with a carving knife because I didn't know whether you were going to come back.
The other thing you lost was the bracelet, was that?
The bracelet, yeah. You took an heirloom from me.
Where did it come from?
In the previous March, my auntie died. You took it. It's a gold charm bracelet. Now, my mother should have got that. And she didn't. I got it. And you just came and took it. So what did you do with it?
I can't even remember, but obviously I would have sold it. It got sold.
The strange thing is, I can understand what you're saying about the money and being on the YTS and all that. I mean, I've been there myself, like I said to you. You're very close to what I was like. But this robbing like, man, it's a low-life game. Nobody respects you. I mean, you get no respect off anybody for doing this. There's guys in our estate, there's 4 or 5 of them at it. These scum. Everybody stays away from them. Is that how you want your life? I can't see that. Get your brain sorted out, man. Get yourself sorted out.
What do you intend doing after prison?
I want to finish my mechanics course. I've already done like 15 months of it, but I've still done the 7 months to finish.
7 months to finish. What does that possibly lead you on to?
But if I do that 7 months again, I'll be fully qualified.
So don't you look forward to something like that? Actually having a good qualification?
That's something I've wanted to do since age of 14. But it was the 2 years.
How are you going to survive on the whatever it is a week? I'm a apprentice mechanic, get paid. Are you going to fall back into the old trap and back screwing?
That's my old problem. I'm back to 7.
Talk to me, not a probation officer. I mean, be straight with me, because I'm off the streets the same as yourself. You're going to be tempted to go back screwing, and that's where you're falling down, isn't it?
It will be a temptation. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy for me to go out and just not do it again. I am determined not to do it again, but then I think about fucking 45 quid a week. I'm straight with that thinking, oh God, how the fuck am I going to do that when I'm going to live on £45 a week?
You seem a nice enough lad, actually. And I think it's a shame that if you go back out and start it all over again, you know, there's going to be literally no hope for you, really.
That's a good point.
But you hope he does go out?
I hope you go out and make a good life for yourself. You know, and I hope this has been some benefit to you. There's only you that can decide that.
I was hoping you were going to be a cocky little shit, and I could have really went at you. But I started feeling sorry for you halfway through, so I laid off you a bit, you know what I mean? Which is strange for me, I must admit, because I was going to break your arms at one stage.
This often happens, doesn't it, where when people actually meet, their attitudes change.
You think it's going to make a difference to you?
I'm hoping so. It definitely put me off doing houses.
Put you off houses or off crime, do you think?
It's definitely put me off houses, but like I said, when we were actually doing it, putting me off crimes, it's going to be hard for me anyway. But if I can do it, I will.
I think it was harder, actually, him being so nice.
Yeah.
You know, if he'd have been the typical looking thug, you know, I could have really... As I thought, yeah. You know, I could have really gone hammer and tongs at him, really. But after, you know, I say 20 minutes of meeting him, I felt quite sorry.
Yeah, I did.
You know,
I felt very sorry for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I, at the end of the session, I almost felt as if I wanted to turn around and say, well, if there's anything you need, you know, don't hesitate to come knocking, you know. But obviously he can't do that, but he obviously needs somebody that's going to look after him and take care of him, you know.
How do you feel it was helpful for you yourselves to do this?
Definitely, yeah.
In what way?
Yeah, I never thought it would be at first. I mean, I'll be honest, I really was doing it for Lee's sake, because I thought, well, if it helps him, you know, to stop offending, you know, I thought, well, some benefit's going to come out of it, but I feel a lot more at ease, you know.
And seeing who he was.
And seeing him, you know, getting this monster out of my mind,
Right.
and letting him know just how badly I felt, you know, about it. And I can get on with my life now. But saying that, I could never forget it.
Right. No.
You know, it's going to be with me. But at least he's not the thug I expected him to be.
Putting a face to the crime, it was... I just wish you'd have told me who's got my CD in. That'd have made me happy.
Right.
But he didn't want to know, so... It's gone, it's gone. I think the angle's out now, you know what I mean?
I find it quite interesting. Although you pressed him to both of you, you know, are you really not going to do it? We want to guarantee. He didn't quite promise that, and I think that was genuine. More realistic in a way to say, I'll try and keep that. But
he was being honest, wasn't he?
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
And did he look you in the eye then?
Pardon?
Did he look you in the eye?
Oh yeah, he did eventually.
Another emotional meeting. But what has happened to people since? After his meeting with Nathan, Kevin managed to keep off the drink and complete his period of probation. But sadly, 2 weeks ago, Kevin was found dead in his flat. An inquest is to be held. Tom and Mary Clapham, whose son was murdered, say that although nothing has really changed, they are glad that someone took the trouble to come to talk to them after so many years of feeling ignored by the system. Alan, who burgled Donna's house, is still going straight, though he has not yet managed to find a job. Since his release, Lee Williams has failed to report to probation.
For further information about this programme, please write to Network First, Yorkshire Television, Leeds LS3 1JS. That's Network First, Yorkshire Television, Leeds LS3 1JS.